The main reason why Sonic Unleashed is such a controversial entry into the Sonic franchise is because of the nighttime stages with the Werehog, as some people claim that it ruins the entire game for them. But was the Werehog all that bad? Well, I don't think so. And before we go into why I think the Werehog is one of the best combat systems we've ever seen in Sonic, I think I should go over some misconceptions with the Werehog and his gameplay. The first one being that the Werehog just doesn't belong in a Sonic game. This series is all about platforming, and having a beat-em-up style gameplay just doesn't fit in a Sonic game. And sure, you might have a point if the entire series up until that point had been all about the whole fast-paced platforming and going as fast as you can to reach the gold ring, that sort of gameplay. However, ever since Sonic Adventure, the Sonic series had been slowly introduced to more and more gameplay styles that deviated from what we expected in a Sonic game. I mean, we have treasure hunting and collecting pieces of the Master Emerald, we have fishing, we have mech shooting, we have whatever the fuck Amy's gameplay was supposed to be. In Adventure 2, we have more mech shooting, even with characters that didn't have mech shooting in previous games. And we also have more treasure hunting. In Heroes, we have mission modes, where you actually just complete random objectives in stages that usually involve fast-paced platforming. We have shooting aliens and riding vehicles in Shadow the Hedgehog. We have Sonic 06, which had almost 15 different kinds of gameplay styles. And that's just the gameplay styles that came out in Sonic games before Unleashed, so when you think about it, a beat-em-up style gameplay with Sonic, which also has puzzles and platforming, really isn't all that out of the ordinary as it seems at first glance. And contextually, I think that the Werehog makes sense, given that Dark Gaia's influence only spreads during the night, meaning that during the day, Sonic is fighting Eggman as always, whereas at night, Sonic in his new form is taking on new enemies and new boss fights that we've never seen before. It's a nice contrast, and I think it's a good breath of fresh air. The next thing that people criticize is the stage length, saying that the stages take way too fucking long and it drags down the pace of the game. And I don't know about you guys, but these stage times really ain't all that long. Certainly longer than your average daytime level, I'm willing to concede that, but considering I can complete these stages in around 3 to 15 minutes a piece, really should speak volumes as to how overblown this criticism is. So what makes this combat system so good? You read the title after all. I think it's one of the best, if not the best combat systems in all of Sonic. So why do I think that? Well, simply put, it is the best balance of style and substance. An interesting mechanic that was in the shooting segments in the adventure games was the whole combo system, where you could target as many enemies as you could and then finally destroy them all in one blast to yield a better score, which would ultimately get you a better rank at the end of a stage. And this is something that is very similar in Unleashed, as you have access to finishers where, when you successfully perform a QuickTime event, not only do you get a cinematic finisher effectively, kind of like the Arkham games, but you also get a significant boost to your score, which then gets you better ranks at the end of the stage. And this is something that Frontiers also does really well, the whole cinematic aspects of the combat, especially in the cutscenes in the Titan fights, where you see Super Sonic just being a complete badass. But what I think the Werehog does better is the overall engagement and complexity of the combat mechanics themselves. Once you level up Sonic enough, you will unlock new combos, with some of these combos having very good utility in and out of combat. You can use some that basically give you a temporary speed boost, or you can get some which make platforming a bit easier, or you can get very powerful moves that make combat a breeze as you can insta-kill the basic enemies, or you can get combos with massive range, allowing for easy crowd control. Or you can get some which do a bit of everything. Really, there's just something for everyone here. And the upgrade system is surprisingly complex as you have access to different things. Do you want to unlock more combos for the Werehog and make the gameplay more fun? Do you want to make the Werehog do more damage and hopefully shorten combat segments? Do you want to extend the Unleashed meter so you can remain in your superpowered form for longer? Do you want more health to make combat segments less stressful? Or do you want to upgrade your shield, allowing you to block stronger attacks and also use the block mechanic more often? The choices are yours, and I think that's one thing that makes Unleashed very good for replayability. And this is something that I just didn't experience in Sonic Frontiers, because whilst yes, you have the choice to unlock new combos and also level up your stats, the problem was that you could do both essentially at the same time, meaning that I just upgraded the same things with every playthrough. Frontiers technically gives you the option to get new combos and what have you, but when all of your combos that you unlock essentially just do more damage or do damage in different ways, once I unlocked a couple that I was comfortable using, there really wasn't much point in unlocking new combos, especially since as you progress through the game, you naturally unlock some of the most powerful ones. And upgrading Sonic's stats in Frontiers just felt inconsequential. One, because of how fucking easy it was to do it. Seriously, you could just spend a bit of time with Biggs fishing and power level your stats to 99 like it's nothing. But also, the upgrades really didn't make much of a difference. Aside from extending your ring energy meter to, have more health in the supersonic fights, or leveling up speed to 99 to permanently have the power boost, aside from that, you were just taking slightly less damage with each increase, or slightly doing more damage, and it just felt like the upgrades didn't even matter. With the Werehog, on the other hand, upgrading his stats really did make a difference. When you max out your strength, you can one-shot most enemies. When you max out the Unleashed and health meters, you are a Terminator and no one will be able to stop you. When you unlock the higher tier skills, you will become a beast in combat, able to deal with groups of enemies with ease. It truly is a night and day playing as a level 1 Werehog versus maxing him out. It's great. And what makes the Werehog so good is also one of the things that just makes Sonic Unleashed good in general. Because you are roaming the planet, exploring and going to different places, all of the main Werehog levels in the game are completely different from each other. The music and atmosphere is completely different each time. The level design is different, with new platforming and new enemy types to help freshen up the gameplay. It's a testament to Sonic Unleashed level design that you can play through the night and day version of the same location, but have a completely different experience. I think it's great. All of the nighttime levels in Sonic Unleashed managed to stand out for the better, which is something that stages in recent Sonic games just hasn't been able to do just as well, in my opinion. I'm sure I don't need to tell you this, but the recent Sonic games have issues with reusing level design, reusing assets, reusing level aesthetics, and it helps sap the identities of the game and makes them less memorable as a result. With Sonic Unleashed, the daytime and the nighttime stages respectively, there are 7 unique level aesthetics that have never returned again, and thanks to the different time of day and atmosphere and music, it feels as though the nighttime was a one-off thing that truly does stand out even today. So on paper at least, the Werehog is fantastic. I mean, the music is top-notch, the atmosphere is great for his stages, his combat is surprisingly deep and pretty great, he controls decently well, the platforming is solid. So what issues do I have with the Werehog specifically? Well, first and foremost, the main issue with the Werehog is that his stages basically have no replayability to them. Sure, you can replay the level to grind for experience, or you can replay stages with new combos, or try, do the thing with all Sonic games where you can try beat your quickest time or beat your high score. But if we're looking at the stages themselves, there's no getting around the fact that you're going from A to B the exact same way every single time. Compare that to the daytime stages where they are flooded with alternate pathways, which helps keep the levels replayable. Made all the more apparent by the fact that with the daytime stages, you unlock new moves to Sonic's moveset throughout the game, such as the Stomp, the Air Boost, and the Lightspeed Dash, meaning that when you replay those stages with those new abilities, they sometimes play completely differently. With the Werehog, on the other hand, well, you can beat the game with a level 1 Werehog, which is not a problem by any means, like it's great doing challenge runs with it, but at the same time it would be great if you gained some new moves with him as you progress through the game, which allowed you to replay previous stages and maybe unlock shortcuts or something like that. The second main issue I have is the battle theme. Yeah, I know it's not an issue nowadays, since on PC emulators you can basically mod the battle music out of the game entirely, but yeah, there's no getting around how obnoxious this fucking soundtrack is, which is a shame because the song itself is surprisingly long and surprisingly complex, but who the hell cares when all you remember is just the first notes to that damn song over and over again when you even go into combat. I mentioned that I don't mind controlling the Werehog, which is perfectly true. However, I would have liked it if he was a little bit faster. Like, there are ways of increasing his speed, like he does have the sprint mechanic, he moves really fucking fast when you're in your unleashed meter, and there are some combos you can unlock, as I mentioned, that do give you a speed boost, but he just still feels like he should have been made faster to make the levels feel a bit more Sonic-esque. With the final issue I have with him being the platforming, as whilst yes, I agree that the platforming is perfectly fine with the Werehog, that's kind of all there is to it, like, which is such a shame because when you see him in cutscenes performing sweet Spider-Man moves, it feels like a kick to the bollocks that when you actually play as him, all you're doing is swinging on things or maybe performing the most elementary of platforming imaginable, which is such a shame. The sky was the limit to what they could have actually done with the Werehog, but the platforming just never really took advantage of it, in my opinion. So when looking at the Werehog at the end of the day, he is certainly far from perfect, but I would never say that he is bad, and when you compare the Werehog to other gameplay styles that have been introduced in the past games as well as more recent games, I think that the Werehog fits in nicely with the outlandish shit that we have come to expect with the Sonic series. Especially when we look at the Werehog, he controls pretty well, moves at a decent speed, there's a lot of complexity with the combat, and he's just overall fun to play as. I wouldn't consider there to be any legitimate problems with the Werehog gameplay formula, which is why I think a lot of the criticisms are just unjustified, unfair, or blown right out of proportion. You can argue back and forth as to whether the Werehog fits into a Sonic game, or whether it's the gameplay style you expect from a Sonic game, but as his own standalone gameplay style, I think he's actually really good. What's going on, guys? It's Rift here, and I hope you enjoyed the video. If you want to see more hot takes or more Sonic reviews from me, feel free to let me know down in the description. Subscribe to the channel, join the Discord server, all the rest of it, and I will see you all in the next one. Take care, guys, and have a good rest of your day.